colors glow, hanging lights row by row. Stay lit. Stay lit.
Welcome back, all you Christmas light lovers. I'm very excited for today's show. I have some wonderful people with me here, as you can see, some new faces, some interestingly unique opportunities, I think, as well. We have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to jump straight into today's topic. Normally, I like to banter before, but not today. So most professions, woodworkers, and quite frankly, a lot of other folks are looking for the same thing, right? They all want a little more freedom, a little more stability, and a way to spend more time doing the work they love. But what if the thing that helps you build a woodworking business, in this case, doesn't come from woodworking at all? What if a seasonal business could help you create year-round opportunity and let you do what you love without worrying about income? Today, we're talking about a question that might sound a little crazy at first. Can Christmas lights help woodworkers build a more stable income? So we're having a conversation about business, about seasonality, about opportunity, and whether professional holiday lighting could be a realistic fit for woodworkers, builders, designers, contractors, small shop owners, and anyone. Now, this isn't about hype. This isn't not about get-rich-quick schemes, and it definitely is not about telling woodworkers to stop woodworking. It's about asking honest questions, looking at real numbers, and exploring whether this business can help create more breathing room for the people building things with their hands. Now, as always, this episode is powered by Let'sGetLitSupply.com, your national source for professional-grade Christmas lighting products. I'm your host, Jerry D., and this is Stay Lit, Mastering the Christmas Light Hustle, the podcast that teaches you to make money from magic. Now, today, I'm joined by my exceptionally talented co-hosts. The first is a businessman, entrepreneur, inflatables innovator and manufacturer, and a great friend. From Big and Bright Inflatables, it's Christmas light installer, Matt Billington. Matt, how's it going?
It's going really well, Jerry. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Well, you're always welcome. I mean, it's technically your podcast because you own the business, right? But,
True.
So you're always welcome to join. But thanks again. Thanks for being here. Now, also joining me is a rock star in the retail world. He helped build TJX, introduced home goods stores, and practically ran half of Canada. He's also been in the Christmas light industry for about a decade. It's retail genius, Russ Schaller. Russ, how are you doing?
Good, but nobody ever called me a genius. So thank you for having me too.
Well, you're also always welcome. Whatever I'm doing, you're always welcome to join me. And finally, we're here with a very special guest. You'll know him as AR Woodworking from the Woodworking Group. It's Adam. Adam, what's happening?
Doing good, guys. How are you?
You know, we're excited. We're ready to go, and quite frankly, intrigued at the prospect. You know, this partnership came up. I joined this team in January, and Matt kind of presented this partnership to me, and I thought that is insightful because as Christmas light installers and as Christmas light professionals, we're always looking to help others, especially seasonal workers, make money and provide for their families. And when I heard about this, I thought this is spot on. This is a great way to do that. Now, today we're doing something a little different, right? So Adam's going to take over hosting duties. Adam, I'm going to let you just run this thing. And you're going to lead the conversation from the perspective of the Woodworking Group community. So Adam will be asking the questions his members would ask, the tough questions, the skeptical question, and the questions every business owner should ask before investing their time and money into something new. So Adam, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. And Russ, yeah, I'm kind of like you. I've never been referred to as a genius, but I've been referred to as asking too many questions. So I guess this is a good opportunity for me to excel. So just to start off, I met Matt first on an unrelated topic, and conversation evolved, and we got to this point, and the idea of Christmas lights came up. And I have to tell you, across TWG platforms, a question I get repeatedly, I see all the time, is people saying, I'm not selling as much as I want to, or can I really do woodworking full time? Is that feasible? And these conversations around those concepts keep coming up. And so I was really intrigued, and I'll admit, skeptical, when the concept of Christmas light installing came up, because honestly, I didn't make the connection naturally. But the more we talked, Matt and I talked, I was like, okay, I think I'm starting to see the light. I guess that's a horrible pun. But with that, I guess before we talk about the questions I have, and I created far too many, help woodworkers, help the audience. What is your company? Where did it come from? What do you do?
So I guess I'll start here since I own the company. So basically, what happened for me is similar to maybe what is going to happen to some of you guys. I was an inflatable rental company, and what happens with inflatable rental companies is throughout the summer you're just busier than you know what to do. You're making good money, and so you start spending money. You bring in my case, lots of labor, managers, full-time employees. You buy a bunch of product, you do all of this sort of stuff, and you don't always plan fully for the future, right? And so then all of a sudden, inflatables stop renting come November, and you're like, well, how do I keep these employees around? How do I pay them? Did I save enough money? Will I make it till March hits? All of these sort of things. And so I had a company called I'm Super Creative. So I had Big and Bright party rentals, Big and Bright inflatables, and Big and Bright Christmas lights. So
Sounds like a winner.
but the name worked for all of them, honestly, so it worked out okay. But basically, I wanted to keep my labor force working throughout the winter, and I needed to find a way to do it. Otherwise, I was going to have to take more loans. I was going to have to come out of pocket, or I was just going to lose revenue and income to keep them around. The alternative would be to say, "Hey, hope you're still there in the spring," but that's not a good alternative. If they find another job, then you're starting all over. And so for me, it was really about keeping people. But for some people in our industry, and we're thinking some of the woodworking group, it's about making Christmas better for your family. It's about paying your bills. It's about keeping everything going until it picks back up in the spring. So that's really how I got into into hanging lights. And then because I distribute inflatables, I thought, well, hey, let's distribute Christmas lights as well. We kind of built the company. And ever since, we've been teaching people primarily in the inflatable industry, but also in a bunch of other industries. And we're, stretching this year towards woodworking as well, of how to bridge the gap between the end of the season and the start of the next. So that's kind of how we started. I don't know if I answered the question fully. Maybe you have a little bit more about who we are. That's just kind of where we started.
No, I mean, that really is where we are. So Russ and I have experience selling lights together. We basically did the same thing, but on one-on-one with customers. So we didn't host training classes. People would come in, we would measure their house, tell them how to cut the cord and how to basically install lights like a professional. We also worked with professional installers, and we kind of would sometimes troubleshoot different items like that. So we have a lot of experience in that kind of world. And so when Matt invited us over to come work for him, we took all that experience and we just try to make it on a grander scale. And really, what we like doing is I mean, I can't speak for Russ, but for myself, I love Christmas. So I just want everyone to light up their house and just have a magical, just that awe and that wonder that you get, when you see the lights, you're driving by, you see the lights on your home or the lights down the street. It's so phenomenal. It's such a wonderful feeling, right? It's all warm and fuzzy, and it takes you back to when you're that little kid and your dad used to hang lights. And so if we can get everyone to do that, but also make some money and support their families at the same time, that's a win.
Absolutely. You've neglected to tell them that you trained Matt.
Yeah,
I did train that. That's
Which is really how you get started at lights.
that is how I got started. I knew I wanted to do it, and I walked into a store where these gentlemen worked, and I said, "How do I do lights?" And they gave me he gave me a crash course, and then I ran out and I did it. So, and for me, that worked. And for some people in your group, they're going to need a 20-minute conversation, and they can be off to the races.
Mm-hmm.
But the vast majority of people, I think, really need a game plan. And it's not just how to hang them and install them and all of that. It really is from start to finish. How do you quote them? How do you measure them? How do you run the business? What kind of insurance do you have? How do you advertise? How do you really make it profitable? And how do you not just end up hanging like your two neighbors? How do you go end up hanging full communities, you know?
Right,
So,
right.
So I guess
Because the
with
hanging
that,
life. Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to hop into it. I mean, that's a good background. I mean, so I guess my first question on behalf of woodworkers is big picture, what are you looking for? So I know that answer, but what are you hoping to find and gain from woodworkers?
well, okay, so obviously we're a for-profit company, so that answer is a little bit loaded. We're looking for customers, right? But specifically why when we started talking last year did I think woodworkers is I think that somebody that works with their hands doing wood
Mhm.
is has got common sense and probably has some significant problem solving ability. And I don't want to be, I'm older than I should be. I'm older than I feel like I am. But as an old person, you know, we start to think that one thing that is lost in the world today is problem solving and common sense, right? And so I really liked the connection of I just felt like this group of people will have those skill sets to go be successful and and we will hold your hand, we will answer your questions, you can call us anytime. He just left Disney World. If he goes back, he'll answer while at Disney World again. That will not be a problem. We will do video calls when you're on the roof and whatnot. But what I just truly, when I heard woodworkers, I thought to myself, these guys will get it. Like
Mhm.
they will be able to go out and do this job with a little bit of guidance. One day of training, one whatnot, they will have it. So maybe I'm giving you more credit than I should. I don't think so. But that I remember our conversation, you know, not a whole year ago, but do you remember me just saying, like, I feel like your audience is the right type of a group? We've had great success with other groups like landscapers,
Mhm.
roofers, firefighters,
Gutter.
gutter guys, and other kind of like tasks that you do with your hands. And I just feel like that's the same type of clientele that you guys would be. So that's what I don't know if that answered your question fully, but that's what appealed to me when we had the conversation. And I thought woodworkers. I thought of a buddy of mine who does it and has builds these beautiful chests. And I said, man, like if you got 1,000 of those guys in your group, that's the guys I need. So
There's
That's
also
great.
like,
Yeah, and I mean, please.
yeah, there's also certain, depending on the level of woodworking, right? There's also a certain amount of aesthetics that goes into it, and an
yes,
eye for detail. And I think for some guys, you can notice the difference between the professional who's had training, who knows how to do it, who will peak the top bulb, make sure that there's a bulb on that
Right.
peak, the person who will cut the cord and hide it behind downspouts and do all the little things because they have that level of detail and they know they want it to look good and well made and well done. And I feel like also woodworkers in general have that more than some of the other professions that we're used to. I mean, landscapers, I love them. There are some that are fantastic and they have that same architectural kind of eye that where they can make something look amazing, they can hide it. But then you have the guys that just go out and mow lawns, and God bless them. They earn their living, they're hardworking, they're guys you can trust, but they also sometimes miss some spots here and there because they don't have that level of detail. And I feel like if you're working with blades, if you're working with things that can cut you, you're going to be paying close attention. So, yeah, none of this, it's all low voltage. So it's really, really simple. So it's not like there's any kind of danger that way. Really, what I'm talking about is that level of detail of making sure that the corners are great, making sure that when you're gluing around the window that it looks fantastic. Little things like that I feel like the eye is drawn to, that woodworkers could really just connect.
yeah, and to just add on to that, this is a very profitable business for anybody who does it, and that's because we will teach you, and you should. The market will bear a very nice price for your work. Okay.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
But if you're going to get that high dollar price, you really should also give that very professional work and do all the things there. So, you know, I think that woodworkers in general, all the things that I'm thinking, the craftsmen and stuff, like they want that attention to detail, like you said, the perfect finish. And I think they'll do the same on people's houses, and people will feel very justified in what they're willing to fork out for that.
Right.
No, I think that's well said. The attention to detail. I mean, the idea of planning and execution. And as you're going through it, problem solving. If something doesn't quite align, you fix it. So no, thank you. I think those are spot on. So let's dive into it. What is the thing? So we're talking about, we know what the business is, what you are. You do Christmas lights. We talked about woodworkers. What does that become? So if someone says, what is this thing? What is it?
So, well, we have, of course, we offer the product to sell, but we also offer training. So we got several coming up in September. And at the trainings, we teach you how to market yourself first and foremost as an actual member of the service industry. So it's not about talking about what bulb you're using, you know, things like that. It's not about selling a particular amount of feet of lights. It's actually about you showing up saying, look, I've been trained. I know how to measure your house. I know how to install the bulbs. I will maintain them. I will take them down. I will store them for you. And then I'll walk around to make sure that everything is taken care of and there's nothing out of place. You know, it's a full service that we show you how to do and how to really present yourself as. And because of that, it's it's a whole course with that included. So yes, how to cut the lights, how to do everything that you need to do to install them, which is the easy part. You can learn that in about 20, 30 minutes tops, right? You know, an hour max.
How many hundreds of homeowners have we taught?
Exactly.
In an hour.
Right, or less. Yeah. You know, in November, we had droves coming into our store, and we were literally just trying to get them out as quick as we could. So that's the easy part. But we teach you, okay, so here's how to start your, you know, are you going to do a sole proprietorship? Are you going to do an LLC? Are you going to do an S Corp or C Corp? Like, and then from there, like, okay, are you going to be tax exempt? Do you have your resale certificate? We go step by step through everything. Okay, now let's talk about marketing. So now your business is set up. Do you have your insurance? Let's talk about safety. Every single little step we go through in this course so that you can present yourself as the professional that you are, and that you can service the client to that degree that you would want to be serviced, right? I mean, you're not going to hire the plumber that is like friends with your brother. You'd rather hire the guy that you know has been in the business for 25 plus years, that has the nice polo, that looks professional, that has material that you can read over. And so we kind of talk you through all of those steps. And so what it is, it's this process of us teaching you how to sell yourself and sell lights, basically,
and run a full business. The one thing I guess I just want to specify, because I think maybe this is where you're going, it is not a few things. It is not multi-level marketing in any way whatsoever.
No.
We are not selling you a franchise.
Nope.
You are not obligated to buy from us just because you train with us. Now, we are hoping that we impress you in such a way that you will buy from us. But when you leave there, you have not bought a franchise.
No.
You do not have to go sell product for us in any way whatsoever. And you can buy anywhere that you want to. Now, we hope that you will buy from us. That would be ideal.
Right.
But all we're trying to do is teach somebody how they can run a business in the off season, because it really is a sprint. See, I do inflatables, you guys do woodworking, all the things, right? I would say woodworking, inflatables, they're marathons. You work year round trying to perfect this business. You get tired. You have to run and run and run the extra mile. Okay. But Christmas lights is a sprint. You will start it somewhere between October 1st, probably. And probably not the first year. That's probably the second where when you're hanging houses that you sold in prior years, through December 10th. It ends at December 10th. Everything shuts off at December 10th and actually slows down around December 1st. So you're really just running a 45-day-ish
It's like
sprint.
8 weeks, right? It's really just 8 weeks compressed. The whole business in that small frame of time.
And listen, for a lot of the smaller rental companies in the inflatable industry that I'm familiar with, and I don't know y'all's business as well, but I assure you there are many people. Tell me if I'm wrong. There's many people in your industry that make less than $50,000 of revenue doing woodworking in a year. Is that correct?
Yes.
You can make that same or significantly more in your first year hanging Christmas lights in 45 days. Okay. A lot of people like to get on here and talk about revenue and say, hey, you can do $100,000 in your first year. And yes, 5% of people might be able to do that or whatnot, especially if they're in a big market like I am in Dallas and all that sort of stuff. But revenue doesn't really matter. Profitability matters. Okay. And so even if your revenue is $20,000 or $30,000 in this, it's pretty easy to make 50% profit in your first year. It's pretty easy. If you don't make 50, you might make 40, but still 40 to 50% in profit in your first year. So even if you do $20,000 in revenue, which is about the equivalent of 15 houses, more than likely, maybe 20, depends on your market. Which is not hard to do. That would be one house every other day during the season, basically. If you were able to do that, you could put an extra 10 or so $1,000. And this is on the low end in your actual bank account to use for Christmas or employment or to making it through the winter. So there is definitely some opportunity for not the huge cabinet shops, okay, but your average woodworker to double their profitability throughout the year in a 45-day window. And that's low end. That's really quite low end. My first year, we did 43,000 and I didn't sell 15 of the 45 days because I had an inflatable convention. And we profited nearly $20,000 that first year to pay labor for that year. That went pretty far for me. And by year 4, that I sold the company, but by year 4 they did $313,000 in revenue at something like 60% profitability, and it's extended to about 60 days for them because they've added in some homeowners associations, and those just take a long time, and so they have to juggle the installs and whatnot. But still, that's the carrot, I guess.
Yeah. Let me put it in perspective. So Russ and I don't know what area you're in, but I think you said, was it? Well, whatever. Anyway, here in DFW, there's this very famous red tree. It's a tree that's massive, that is wrapped as tight as they can with strands of lights. Okay. The guy that used to do it, he doesn't do it anymore, but the guy that used to do it, his name was Heath Northcutt. He would spend 1 week wrapping this tree, him and his crew, and they would rent a lift and they would keep the lift on site just in case they needed to, go out and fix something. But that's all they would do all year long. And that one job, that one tree job, because tree jobs are they're very, very profitable. That one job kept him and his crew like sustained throughout the rest of the year. So now, is that typical? No. But sometimes the atypical shows us the heights that we can achieve. And so I like to, besides the typical, like most first years, they do 60 houses their first year, and that's about average, between 40 and 60. But some guys go out and sell the massive projects that keep them fed for quite a long time. So especially for people that love to work with their hands, or maybe that's the woodworking is their sole source of income. Well, this is a way that they can extend that time just woodworking by just going out and spending, like Matt said, 45 days or 8 weeks or however long you want to spend to really focus and just put in the work and make a lot of money. And then again, depending on the area, you can, and we get into what to charge. That's one of the things that we talk about in our trainings, like how to charge. But some people, some areas you're lower per foot and other areas you're higher per foot. But if you target some of those higher areas, you can make a lot more.
And we keep talking about money, and I feel bad that we just keep getting it to that.
Right.
That really is, what could sustain some of you guys. But beyond the money part, two things. One is you get this amazing feeling when you pass this off to the families and the kids and you light it up for them and they come out and you just see the joy on their face and stuff like that. And you get a pretty good self-fulfillment feeling when you're snapping your pictures, or you go get a drone and you fly over it and you see the job well done. So there is, Jerry talks about the Christmas magic. There is a lot to that. So it is rewarding beyond the cash. But it is cash rich too. So
and then every year
there's both of those things.
Every year that same homeowner will add to what they've already been doing.
Yeah.
So they'll add a couple of wreaths that you sell them, or they'll put some product out in their yard, or they'll line their driveway. It gets contagious and infectious, and it just grows bigger and bigger every year.
And sometimes they get all anxious and they start calling you like way before the season and talking. And so I guess what I'm saying is there's more to it than just the money. There's satisfaction of a job well done, and especially the woodworkers that are more on the craft side, you really can get that same feeling or that sensation of like completion and artistic display in Christmas lights as well. You know, you get to go and design with the customer and then make that come true and then reveal it to them and see the look on their face.
You know, Jerry and I have worked with just tons of installers, and they work hard. You know, they start, like you said, in September, and by December 10th, they're done. But I can't tell you how many of them get on a plane and go on a vacation for Christmas. And that's part of their satisfaction of it, that they paid for a luxury trip.
Yeah.
So just to back this all up a step, to make sure everyone understands, this concept, this Christmas light thing, is a woodworker, a person, a tradesperson, whoever it might be, says, okay, I want to create my side hustle. Call that an official business, call it a hobby, whatever you want. But they say, okay, this is a way I can bring in some income to support my family, to help me transition to full-time woodworking, whatever it might be. But they essentially, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying they become an installer of essentially Christmas lights and call it accessories. I'm not sure, wreaths, whatever, but that's what this process is.
Absolutely. That's what it is in a nutshell. Most people will start it out as a side hustle, but it's going to be the way that we teach it will be a full second business, but is not going to consume your life beyond that 45-60 day window, which the assumption is many of you will have available due to kind of the seasonality of your business.
Yeah, I mean, geez, I'm not one of these guys you see on YouTube that have this massive warehouse that's temperature controlled. When I do woodworking in the winter, I'm out there in the elements, and yeah, I'm not out there as often as I'd like to be. But as you were talking, you start talking about, like, as you're decorating a house, and maybe someone would ask for an add-on, and I'm sitting here thinking how many times I've had my neighbors or my wife ask me to say, hey, can you take a sheet of plywood and cut out a reindeer that can go in the front yard? Like, all those things.
That's interesting. That's a point I hadn't even considered, because the typical light installer, Christmas light installer, usually they get their cord that you can cut to whatever length, so you make it fit the house perfectly. They get their bulbs, their clips, everything. They add wreaths, they'll add stakes on the ground, different things, but it's usually standard. As woodworkers, I hadn't considered this. You actually are uniquely positioned to provide extra, just essentials or things that the customers are looking for. So it reminds me of growing up, there was a house nearby and they had peanuts. They were wooden, Charlie Brown figures. They were all painted on, but they were done out of wood. You guys are uniquely positioned to create items specifically designed for homeowners as well, which, that gives you the best of both worlds. That gives you the income from woodworking and the income from Christmas lights, because yes, we have been talking about profitability and things like that, but honestly, that's a fantastic way to actually incorporate your passion into this extra hustle.
I can think of several
ideas.
homeowners.
I know.
I can think a lot of them have come in and to the store that I was in and bring the pictures of the woodworking projects that they had turned into Christmas ornaments.
Yep.
And they're proud. They're more proud of those than they are the lights on the house.
I don't even know why we didn't even think about
Yeah.
that. It's kind of brilliant. That's another connection that we didn't even think about. I mean, what you could potentially charge to just put giant Merry Christmas up in the yard, or maybe some of you guys could make nativity scenes, or the reindeer, like you said, or
trees.
Maybe you don't need to buy our wreaths. Maybe you make your own wooden wreath in some sort of way.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't think about that. I mean, honestly, if the right person had the right idea and was showing success, it might even be something they could make in some volume for us to
maybe we could
sell on the website.
That's true.
To other people. So I think that there are probably, I don't know, this just opens up a whole thing of possibilities. To be honest, I mean, you guys can even make things and drill little holes and put the light through them.
Yeah, you can light it up.
To light up. You can make a tree that actually has holes that you buy the lights and screw through.
We have so besides the basics, there are more advanced products that you can use later on. One of them is actually a strip of neon, like a neon light strip, that you could even put around some woodworking projects. So there's literally, I mean, the possibilities are quite I mean, it's exciting. That really is an exciting prospect.
I've spent a lot of time thinking about this, getting ready for this conversation, and like I said, I was reflecting on how many things can be done with a sheet of plywood, an 8x4 sheet of plywood. And I mean, heck, you take out your jigsaw and you can cut that into whatever shape you want. I mean, this is a laser machine right here to my side. It's a small one, but people with CNC machines, I mean, you can bust out. I mean, I know Christmas arches. I've seen people do arches over walkways. I've seen all kinds of things. And so I wanted to throw that out there is, while you were explaining, you know, the light business, and we'll get into what that looks like for someone who may want to consider it. But I think the woodworking is a natural fit for, like you said, what someone can already do. They already have, I bet a lot of TWG members already have these basic tools to cut out your, you know, whatever shape you want. Like I said, words, a snowman, a tree, a reindeer, a sleigh, out of just normal plywood. Spray paint it if you want, doesn't matter, but then put the lights around it, and right there you're making custom decorations.
Exactly.
So
that's how you market it.
Yeah, so I throw it out there is, I guess my question is, because I don't want to, I know this can be overwhelming. When this concept first came up, I'll admit it was like this big idea. When I woodwork, I'm by myself. Like it was kind of like a lot to take in. It's like, okay, what could this be scaled? Could I do just a cut out Christmas tree out of plywood, put some lights around it, sell it to 10 people and call it a day? Is that an option? Like, or what is what you offer, the training, the support, the supplies, do you offer scalability? Can someone do super small? Like, geez, I'll just try to do maybe my house, my neighbor's house, and then next year I'll consider bigger. Like, do you offer those types of options?
Yeah, of course. So what we teach is the basics, you know, how to go through it, but we have experience not only in the field, but also one of our trainers that we trust to do that. You know, he also has like a $350,000 company. And so we do teach you how to create systems, and then those systems are scalable. So, I mean, I've worked and seen and talked to installers that do over $1 million during their season because they built those systems that are scalable, but they didn't start like that. Most of them started doing, you know, their first year, 20 to 40 houses, some 60 houses, things like that. So we show you, we've taken all these bits of information plus our own experience, and we've distilled it into a teachable course.
But and he's talking about scaling, and you said scaling, so I think he was scaling up, but I heard a lot of words about small in there. And so, yeah, absolutely. So you don't have to grow. You don't have to scale. Yeah. That's totally up to you.
Right.
Two things I would mention there is we highly suggest people start with a starter kit. Okay. It's about $1,700. it should be good for you to make about $5,000 to $7,000 worth of installation in houses, and it's good for about 5 houses approximately. Okay. You could put them all on one house because you sold a huge one, or you could do, maybe 6 or 7 houses because you sold a bunch of small ones, but on average it's about 5 houses. Okay. And if that's all you did for the whole year,
Yeah.
that would work, right? That's your first year. You put one on your house, you put one on your mother-in-law's house or your mother's house or whatnot, and you sell 3 jobs and you call it a season, and you dip your toe in. So it could be small like that. The other thing is it takes, now I would suggest you start with somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 to start this business. But if you don't have $1,000 or $2,000, you can literally start with 0. So people expect that when you book their job that you will take a deposit.
Yep.
Okay. I have historically always taken 50% down.
Most do.
Most do.
Yeah.
Some scale up, some scale down, but 50% is pretty acceptable. And you will get yes, and they will write the check or hand you the cash, and you will walk out a week or 2 before you need to install with that cash in hand. If you want to do it that way, you walk out with that cash in hand, you go then buy yourself a ladder, you go buy yourself the Christmas lights that you need to hang, you go hang them, and then the second half of them is, what you would use to pay your helpers or, or whatnot. But a lot of people do start with 0. I think you're better off if you start with somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000, because then you can buy signs to build advertising. You can get yourself some insurance. You can have those ladders ahead of time. You can, go to a website, get your website, take the domain name, maybe an LLC, all that sort of stuff. But it doesn't take $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to start. No. It doesn't. You can start with 0. You can start with 2,000 and be off to the races. So first year I started with about $10,000. But again, I was trying to move this other business along, and I spent it on an LLC, on insurance, on signage, on ladders, and then I bought I think $5,500 at y'all's kickoff. So and that was my 10 grand. And I was back buying more lights in like 2 weeks. So, so that's just kind of how that works. And so you can start with next to nothing. You can start with nothing.
But I know a guy that he started with his dad's truck and his dad's ladder. And he got his first deposit, came to the job, and then started booking more and more. And eventually he got his own truck and his own ladder, ladders, plural. And then he had to hire helpers because he was doing so many. So it's definitely something where the investment can come later on. You'll see the return on that investment, and you don't necessarily have to pile it all in at the beginning, which is great.
And, when we were talking about woodworkers in general, and I think I'm stereotyping, but just that most of your guys have a ladder. Like, I just feel like they probably do.
Yeah.
They
probably have good ones.
They probably have nice ladders. And if they don't, they could build themselves one.
That's true. It's so true, though. Yeah.
So it would be heavy, really heavy.
Yeah,
but they can do it.
To your point, I actually had a woman who was absolutely broke, who came in and emptied her piggy bank on the counter, and we counted out enough money to buy 2 bags of bulbs. And now she does 300 houses. She was completely broke. She didn't have money for food. And she, to your point, she hung 50 lights, came back with that money, did 100, back the next day, buying 200, and it all snowballed.
Yeah.
Sorry, I want to be clear for those listening and those watching. I didn't provide the questions in advance for this. And I think so far we provided some context, but I have no hesitation saying I'm going to be putting these 3 guys on the spot here with some questions going forward. Like I said, I want to be transparent. When Matt and I first talked, like I said, it was over a year ago, and I first met Matt. of course I was skeptical. I mean, anytime, I mean, I've been raised to, hey, you can make a lot of money by doing a little work. It's always like, nah, something's not right there. I mean, I've been told that, and to be honest, there's too many things in the world right now that are trying to take advantage of people. You hear that was the phrase, get rich quick schemes. And so there's a kind of a line of questions here. And so I'll ask them kind of in sequence. So the first one is to show, what does this look like? So I'm Adam. I go to one of your guys' classes. You teach me what, the introduction. So I go out prepared. So I have some confidence to know what I'm doing. I go out there, I book a job. What does that job look like? I mean, I know from my personal experience, hanging Christmas lights, like I have to clear my whole Saturday because it's going to be my wife holding the ladder while I'm up there shaking at the top trying to put them on. So what is a typical job? Can an individual actually do this?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so first off, you clear your whole schedule for a couple of reasons, and the main one is because you're hanging horrible lights. They are not made well, and you're using horrible clips, which is a huge problem with the lights that most people are doing. So, the way that the job looks like, let's assume you've already went and sold it. Now you're showing up on that day. I would prefer you to have a helper, but you don't have to. The thing is, if you don't have a helper, you're going to be getting up and down a whole bunch of times. But basically, lights come in a giant spool. So you'll have a spool of somewhere between 250 and 1,000 feet of lights. They're not going to come with the bulbs in them. He's about to show you what blank cord looks like. Okay, now they're going to be spaced out 12 inches apart. Okay, and so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at the house real fast and you're going to assess, where is power? Where am I starting from? Where is my power going to be? Most of the time that's going to be on the front porch. If you're in Texas, a lot of times we have plugs in the eaves. Not everybody has those, but you're going to figure that out. It might be over by the air conditioner. Okay. I've had to run them out of the garage window before, but you're going to assess where the power is. Okay, where are you going to start? Then you're going to kind of have a quick plan. You've already measured. If you've done this right, you've actually already got the lights kind of pre-bulbed. That's what we call it. But let's just say you didn't do all of that. I used to have my kids pre-bulb. I pay them 5 cents a bulb. That was the best way to do it. But do what you want. You show up and you start running some cord out, and you start putting a clip on and a bulb. And the clips that we will recommend at 99% of times are going to be called a halo or a circle clip. Yeah, here we go.
You can see it right there.
Boom. So once they're on, put it on.
And so Matt mentioned pre-bulbing. Ideally, with this clip, you would pre-bulb and pre-clip. So all this would be done at home while you're watching TV, or like Matt said, your kids are doing it. It's all done at home,
Even better.
ready to go.
Yeah.
So literally, you just show up and hang the lights.
What I want to show you is, like, this clip isn't coming off. Okay. So what you're used to normally is these clips that just kind of alligator, like just kind of grab
like
it.
a little crab claw.
And so you'll get half the lights off, and then you'll hear boom, and they all fell back down, and you're dealing with all of that again. Okay. You're not going to be doing that here. Now, then these just slide under the shingle. They're wedged. They hold. There are some things we'll teach you in trainings. There will be a few times that you need to add some extra support, but I don't want to get off into that right now, because this is the typical instance. I could talk forever on little minute details, but basically you run some cord out, you bulb it up all in one color or a pattern or whatever you've sold. Okay, you do that, and then you start at one corner of the house, and you just start sliding them under the shingle or popping them onto the gutter, whichever part of the house that you're on, and you just work your way across. It's very fast. It depends on the roof. Maybe you've got an A-frame ladder that you're just kind of stepping on, doing 6-8 feet, and then getting down and moving it. Maybe you've got it leaned up against the wall, again doing 6 to 8 feet, getting down, moving it. Maybe it's not like a ranch style around here. On a ranch style, flat roofs, I'm getting on the roof and I'm just sitting and working down. Those are the fastest. They fly like crazy because I don't have to keep moving a ladder.
Right.
We have safety products like one called a pitch hopper. So even if the roof is a little steep, it creates this like working surface. So some people are going to work down, some people are going to work up. It's totally what you're more comfortable with. Working down tends to be a little faster because you don't have to move a ladder, but it also tends to be a little scarier. So if you said you're nervous, then work from the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot good. We do teach ladder safety as well. We teach the right types of ladders to buy, and then we teach how to use them. I don't think your group will have as much problem, but you will be shocked that a lot of people are scared on a ladder because of one of two reasons. They've bought a ladder that does not handle their weight. And so it's bowing and bending and all sorts of stuff, and they're not comfortable on it, or they have not secured it to the ground properly, and so it feels like it can slide out from under. But if you have the right ladder and you do it on the ground, and you use levelers, so it's not going side to side, you can feel real safe. So you've rolled them out, you've balled them, you've started attaching them. You just, anytime you need to go in a different direction, you cut it, you put a male fitting on the end.
He's got one right there.
Right here, or a female fitting on the end. You create your own. You're not splicing. I know on our call, you said splicing.
There's no stripping of wires at all.
No stripping of wires. You just pop on a fitting like this. And we're simplifying it, but it literally takes this long. And now I've got a male plug there. It's that simple. There's a few other plugs. There's a female. The female can also be inline. So like I could put a female right here so I could go off in another direction. And that's pretty simple. So you're just up there. You put them all where they need to be. You go off in this direction. You go off in that direction. This is blank cord called jumper cord or zip cord, but basically anywhere that you need electricity to go, it's like an extension cord.
Essentially,
but way cheaper. Way cheaper than extension cord. Anywhere that you need
and you cut it to the exact length.
And you cut it to the exact length. If you need 7 feet, you get 7 feet.
Right.
And so that will go anywhere that you don't want lights, but you need lights like at the other end of that.
Yeah, so like dormers, especially big, any kind of elevation change. Typically, you'll run that blank line, that lamp cord from one section to the other. And so it's just whatever you don't want lit, that's when you use that.
And as you're going, you're just kind of making sure you're hiding the cords a little bit and making them just right. You keep attaching them. And when you get to the far side of the house or the end of the job, you go, you add a timer and you plug it in and you turn it on, and then you go test all the lights, and then hopefully it's evening and you can show it to your customers. Otherwise, they experience it later that evening when it gets dark. But it's truly that simple. And and then you collect the second payment, and you walk away happy because you made them happy and because you made some decent money. Honestly, I'm not oversimplifying that.
No,
that is literally how simple it is. The only things you have to be careful about, there's just two things to be careful about. One is height safety. And the reason we're able to make as much money is because we are taking a bit of a risk. So you're paid for two reasons. You're paid for your risk that the homeowner is not having to take by being on the house. But if you use the right safety, it's not really that risky. And you're also paying for the fact that this is not a business that you can run for the entire year. So your time is very valuable because everybody will get booked. And as you get closer to Thanksgiving, they start calling people, hey, can you come out and give me an estimate? No, I'm sorry, we don't have any more room this year. And so you are people pay a high premium for the risk and for the fact that they are taking your time in the middle of like the peakest of peak seasons, if that makes sense. And so it truly is that simple. You hang them. But if you're used to hanging lights at from Walmart,
Big box store.
Mm-hmm. You're used to tangles. You're used to a light going out and making the whole thing not work. You
can't cut them.
You can't cut them. You trying to hide them because you want it to look better. Do I double back? Do I what? Do I go get a real extension cord and run it across my house? Like all these different things that are time consuming, don't look that good, and frustrating. They really have kind of designed or engineered all of those out of professional Christmas lights.
And because they're all LED, like this bulb right here uses 0.65 watts. So you can run about 300 to 350 bulbs in a single straight line. And if you branch off, like if you tee off, you can add about another 100 to 150 bulbs. So off of one plug, you can run about 500 bulbs. So it's not like the old days, especially where, after 75 bulbs, you're like blowing fuses,
right?
And it's also either, we have two different brands, either polystyrene or polycarbonate. So they're highly, highly durable as well. So I've seen these things fall from 2 stories and be completely fine. Not like, again, the older glass bulbs or even some of the cheaper made LED bulbs that fall and you're done.
Oh, they fall from 2 stories all the time when I'm installing. Not because I'm a Butterfingers, but like literally, I'm like, I don't need them. I throw them on the ground because I know they're perfectly fine. Just throw them down. Now I try not to throw them on the driveway. They would work, but I throw them on the, the grass. And he's right. I think the rule of thumb is about 500 per plug. I ran 1,400 feet on my house on one timer.
I've seen that done. Yeah. We never endorsed that fully, but I have seen the limits pushed. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that was about 1,150 bulbs or something.
On one outlet will handle 1,000.
Yeah.
So that question we every time is, how many plugs am I going to need?
Right.
Or how many can I put on one? And the answer is really almost as many as you're ever going to need. It's not a question that you really need an answer to. But I do think the official answer is somewhere around 550.
Yeah.
That's what we've always taught.
So another question, and this is me putting on my skeptical hat, because I think before money is tight for a lot of people. That's just a fact of life. But something that I've learned, and especially since I started the woodworking group, is time. There's no substitute for time, and time's important to use well. So before I invest money or my time, I drive around my neighborhood around Christmas time, and I see the occasional sign on the corner there at the 4-way stop that says, light installs, call this number. I live in a pretty big area. I guess my skeptical question is, if this is such a good idea, why isn't everyone doing it?
Oh, a lot of people are afraid of heights.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of people don't know about like the cut to fit cord. This stuff's been around for
Most people don't.
years, but I had no idea till I got into the Christmas light business. I used the same, Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot style lights. I had no idea. Yeah. So that's, right there, those are 2 factors why people aren't doing it. The other thing is that people don't realize that it can be turned into a business. So people, if their neighbor needs lights, they're like, oh, I'll put it up for Joe, but they don't think to charge because it's their neighbor. But there's a lot of people like that, people that are perhaps aging that don't want their husbands up on the ladders anymore because
we get a ton of those. My husband wants to do it. I'm not letting him anymore.
But people don't realize those situations. So, that's one of the biggest reasons right there, is that they just haven't thought about it. Just like we didn't think when you talked about making custom woodwork, art for Christmas display, we didn't think about it. Same thing. People don't think about just charging people to put lights on houses.
Also, it's regional. Okay. You would not have that same comment if you lived in Texas. If you lived in Dallas or Houston, you would say, like, what's wrong with those 4 houses that don't have professional Christmas lights on them? It's literally probably greater than 50% in most neighborhoods. That's maybe a stretch, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And you say you might see a sign on a corner or 2. If we don't have 4 signs on every corner, somebody's not doing their job. So
It's true.
it is a regional thing. Now we have the perfect weather for it. That's one thing. Different weather climates are different
Mhm.
for sure.
But that also is not an obstacle, because some of the biggest names in Christmas light installations that do over $1 million every season and more are up north in Michigan and Minnesota and Wisconsin. So
Yeah, because their job is harder than ours, so they get a higher dollar per foot. They get
Mhm.
higher, return on their investment because they are dealing with light and stuff. And look, I failed to mention this earlier, so let me run this one thing back. You brought up this time thing, like what
Mhm.
about my time? So the average job is between $1,000 and $1,200. At least that's what my average has been.
it depends, because like, for example, one of the trainers that's going to be presenting on in our training in September, his average job is $2,500.
Yes.
$2,500 a job.
So it does.
So-
It's your clientele. It's regional. It's all sorts of things. But what I wanted to use the $1,200 range for
yeah,
to say, because that's a pretty decent average in certain parts of the
Yeah.
community, is that's about a 4-hour job. That's about a 4-hour job the first year. Okay. So you could do 2 to 2.5 of those in a day if you're really wanting to, maybe 3. And then what you have to understand is second year is about 35 to 40% time wise of first year, because you've already cut everything,
right.
you've already bulbed everything, you've already done everything. You've at the end of the first year, we teach this how to map it out, how to mark it. So the next year you go back, hey, there's the center peak bulb, boom, work it straight down, work it straight down. I personally use letters at the end of my, like I write on the plugs. Everybody has their own thing.
Yeah,
I write on the
there are
plug.
different ways.
So like
Colored zip ties.
I know B goes right on this part of the house and it connects to the other cord that says B, boom. So second year, first off, second year is way more profitable, because in the first year you take about 4 hours to hang it. In the second year, you're looking at about an hour and a half to an hour and 45, because it's so much faster. Both of those are 2-man crews, okay, in both cases. And then second year, you don't pay for the bulbs either. So, I mean, you don't have the bulbs the second year and you cut your labor in half, profitability skyrockets.
Mhm.
And so really this is a snowball type business. That lady he was talking about, she went from chains to 300 houses,
Yeah.
not in a year,
No.
but she went from a couple, and then the next year she's doing all of these reinstalls with way more profit, which allowed her to continue to expand.
Mhm.
And so it's a thing. You will have a small drop off every year. 10 to maybe 20% of the houses won't be able to do it the following year because they move.
Yeah.
Because somebody lost their job, or who knows. One year they have family coming over, so they want to spend. The next year they don't have family coming over. They're going somewhere, so they don't want to. But in general, you'll retain, I don't know, but I retained about 80%, 80 to 85%.
Mhm.
And then that snowballed year over year over year.
Okay, so I mean, it's kind of cool the way you describe it. I mean, in the woodworking world, we make something once, and it's almost always like you see all the flaws, like, oh, geez, I would do that better. So we make things called jigs, and it's essentially little templates that help us repeat something over and over and over again. So again, I
Right.
think that's a natural connection between what you're describing and at least the mentality I believe a lot of woodworkers have naturally is, how can I repeat something and make it as efficient as possible so I don't have to remeasure every single time. So that makes sense. I like that.
Mhm.
My next question is, and I like I said, I asked this with my skeptical hat on. I in no way intend to be rude, but I can assume that out of everyone you've worked with, out of anyone that said, "Yep, I'm going to give this a shot. I'll try this as my side hustle, my side gig, or a full-time business, whatever it is," not everyone has been successful. I don't want names. I don't need any of that information. But like,
No.
if you're going to tell me or tell the audience, out of people that go into this, how many are not successful, And if and why is I mean, I'm sure anyone can be successful if you put enough work and effort, but like how many things don't work out and why
Mhm.
is that?
I'll let you go start and then I'll.
Yeah. So, uh, it's a scale. Okay. If you, let's say we have 30 people at a class, okay, 5 to 10 of them will just go back and life will get busy and they're not going to do anything. Okay. But it's not because they were incapable or anything like that. Something changed. They got busy. Um, Maybe the biggest thing that we sell in this classes is confidence.
Mhm.
But there are some people I can't even give confidence to. Okay. So if they fail, it's because they did nothing with it. And then so that leaves us with 20 people. Another 10 of those people, another third of the class will probably go hang 5 to 10 houses that first year. And then half of those people will get the bug and go hard the following year. Half of those people will go, I only sold 5 houses. I didn't make enough money, and they disappear.
Mhm.
And then about a third of the room will just shoot out the gate and take off. You know, and probably two of those 30 will just be absolute rock stars. And if I'm off with those numbers, I'm not extremely off
Not
with
much.
those.
No, that's pretty close. So
And if they fail, it's because they did not put effort into it.
that's usually it. That's the biggest one. And a lot of that is because of fear. So especially, people they have a lot of fear of whether or not they can actually sell. And that's what I found with some of the ones that didn't succeed. They were just like, oh man, I can never sell the job. Well, they didn't know how. And because we didn't get to teach that to them. We only basically, Russ and I, while we talked with them, taught them how to actually install the lights,
Right.
as opposed to what Matt and his crews have done. We didn't really get to teach them and train them how to actually do the selling part, because that's almost as important as the actual hanging of the light part. Are you confident enough to go out and sell the job? Now, later on in November, if you stick with it, if you get through October,
That's what I was
if
gonna
you
say.
stick with it in November, you don't even have to sell.
No.
Most of the time, people are desperate to get their lights on. They've usually been rejected by one or two people at that point, or they can't even get them on the phone. So if you pick up the phone, most of the time, in my experience with dealing with installers over the last 8 something years,
Yeah.
most of the time you will get that job just because you answered the phone.
Yep.
Now, again, there's other factors like how much you charge and things, but just because you answered, people are willing to pay because you're getting closer and closer to Christmas. I mean,
Closer and closer to Thanksgiving.
closer and closer to Thanksgiving.
The Thanksgiving is
That's
that
usually the demarcation.
we want our lights on by Thanksgiving.
Correct.
Such and such told me he can do it, but he can't do it till December 3rd. Oh, I can squeeze you in
I'll get you in
on
right now.
Tuesday,
Mhm.
the day before Thanksgiving, 2 days before Thanksgiving. Oh, let's go. So, two things. Another failure point is that often we teach this class. The first one is September 16th.
Mhm.
Okay. You go back September 16th and you put all your signs up and you go start bidding. And you know what? No one has urgency to buy lights in October. They don't care. Like they might call, oh, give me a quote, whatever, but they're like, let me quote 5 other people. And so, and if you give up before you hit like say November 10th time frame, because well they told me I could sell all these jobs but I'm missing them, well you're not gonna close a lot. Your closing percentage will be
Yeah, your
pretty
close rate.
low in
Mhm.
October.
Yeah.
And then by November 1st it increases significantly. By November 10th and then the 15th and then the 20th, it just goes up. By November 20th you're going to be so busy that you don't have time to talk to people. My signs actually say call or text, but call is in lowercase and text is in like capital letters. Okay. Subliminally, I am telling them to text me. And then I say, what's your address? What are you looking to do? All via text, sometimes not on the roof, whatever, sometimes on the roof. and I'll draw it up. And I can't even tell you how many things I fully closed via text message. I had never spoken to that person,
Mhm.
not one word, and got the deposits, and it was no big deal whatsoever. But that doesn't happen in October. In October, you go out there, full dog and pony show, you draw it up,
Wearing your
and
Santa hat.
you're
you know.
doing all the things, and you still may not close it. So if people don't wait long enough to hit the right season, that's another reason. But the season expands year over year because
There you go.
the following year you say, hey, I'll give you a 5% discount if you let me hang your lights in October
Before Halloween.
before Halloween. You don't have to turn them on till November or whenever you want. The timer will be right there on the porch and you turn it on. Those are for reinstalls, right? And so you close all those reinstalls. You keep yourself busy in October, leaving November open for all the new jobs. That's
Okay.
really stuff.
The
Oh,
only
that's great.
other thing that I've ever seen people fail is, or at least stay really small, is mostly because of substance abuse. So Russ and I have seen some of these small time,
We have seen it.
a lot of them
Yes.
that they had so much potential, but they got caught up in, for whatever lifestyle, and
Yep.
so as long as just say no to drugs, and I mean you'll be all right.
Hey, that's a good message. I endorse that.
And
Well,
some
no,
of
I
them
mean,
were on the ladder.
Oh man, yeah, we won't talk about those guys. I got nervous every time they walked in.
I appreciate the honesty. I mean, like I said, it's easy to have someone say, "Oh, I've got this great business idea. If you invest, you'll turn 10 times what you put into it." But I think, like I said, it's good to be aware of the realities of
For sure.
if you straight up give up or you're not willing to put in the work, it won't be successful. And I mean, I can speak from experience there. That's applicable across any trade or field. I mean, in woodworking, I've done stuff and it didn't turn out great by the end. If I would have given up, I'd never get better. And it just would have ended
Mhm.
there. So I mean, and I like what you're saying. The reality is you provide the training. We're going to go into the course here in a second. You'll help explain what that is, but like you're going to arm people with as much as you can. And then, but it's still, you have to be self-motivated. I mean, it sounds like the opportunities are there. Woodworkers have the ability, they have the mindset, they likely have a lot of the tools and stuff that would even assist them in doing it anyway.
Oh
And a
yeah.
lot of us don't want to be woodworking outside in the cold. So, and I can tell you, I've never done a project where my hourly wage is making nearly as much as Christmas lights. So yeah, I mean, the
Well,
concept of the income per time, I've definitely never experienced something to the scale of what you're explaining.
I mean, I was a district manager for a Fortune 500 company, and I made more per hour hanging Christmas lights. So that's the truth of the matter. But it's you can only make that amount of money for that short window,
right.
and so unless you're running a lot of crews, which obviously does bring your amount down a little bit, you know, it's you can only make so much, right? But you can. Some people do run. Nick runs 3 crews. If you're doing 3 crews and you're doing $2,000 to $5,000 per crew per day on depending on the houses, I mean that adds up very, very, very fast.
Hmm.
And I like the concept of this kid. This is seasonal. I think when Matt, when you and I first talked, like I said, it was an overwhelming concept, and that's the only word I can think of. It was just overwhelming. Like I'm busy with my normal job, doing hobbies, family. Now a side business, like there's no way, like I'm not capable. But when you kind of walk me through it of like, but it's that sprint concept. It's a short amount of time that is so based on the season itself. It's never going to consume your August because that would be nonsense. So I think, and this is me talking to the woodworkers out there. I know what it's like to feel overwhelmed when you have so much going on and now it's another thing. It's another thing. Like I get that. What I think appealed to me so much and why I really wanted to bring this to the community was I think this can be a relatively, in the span of a year, a short amount of time with the ability to provide funds and support that maybe your woodworking isn't doing by itself. I think this is a possibility. And there's more than one business out there that can do this. Like I'm not, that's obvious. But when I was talking to Matt and he brought this up, it literally was a light bulb for me of like, what a natural connection. And I love the concept of saying a small amount of time can yield an income that can do something that you don't have being done already. I just think that's a huge win. And so I want to transition to the classes, because you brought that up from the very beginning. You explained classes, we teach you, we show you. Well, you've explained what the company is. You've explained, you become an installer, you go out, you quote, you install, you create schedules. Like I kind of can picture it now. I think the audience can too. But what is this class thing you keep talking about?
Yeah, so excuse me, we're going to have 4 in-person class trainings from 9 to 5 in several different locations throughout the US. And then we're also going to have a virtual training. But essentially, you come to the class, we teach you from the start, like how to set up your business, all the way through hanging lights, all the way through marketing. We teach you some sales techniques. We teach you tips and tricks, how to make your installs look great. There's a bunch of other things as well. The entire holiday, lighting workflow, from consultation to pre-production to, the actual install to post-production, how to and then, maybe value stacking things as well from there. So we will cover everything that you need to know to be successful, because we want you to be successful. And a part of it, I'm not going to lie, is a little bit selfish, because the better you guys do, the better we do as well. So we want to make sure that you are fully equipped to have install business that not only will make you a lot of money, but will provide you the opportunities to not have to worry in January and February when things are still really slow, especially in the northern, US, where it's a lot of snow and ice. And I mean, I know Russ is from that area, and so he can attest to lights not coming down sometimes till March or April.
Right.
We're not used to that here in Texas. It's usually like first couple of weeks of January, and we're ripping down lights. But it gets hard to do the things that you want to do in those months, because what if your business is seasonal, like you're in an inflatables industry, or you're in the lawn industry? It's hard to mow lawns when the grass isn't growing because it's winter, right?
Yeah.
So you need that income to supplement yourself and to get you through those January, February, maybe even early March. And so I'm not saying Christmas lights is going to be everything for you. Now, it possibly could. I know it has for several people. I know several installers that went all in. They just dedicated their time, made a ton of money, and kept themselves busy through that time, and then coasted January and February. So it is very possible, but it does depend on how much you put into it. So at this class, we take all of that and we distill it down to an 8-hour, 7-hour, whatever it is, 7.5, 8 hours training, where we try to make it so that we try to make it foolproof, essentially, so that if you try, you will earn at least some kind of money.
So a couple of things I want to follow up there.
Yeah.
You brought up a couple things that just want to clarify for the audience. You said the better you do, the better we do. Now, I'll admit, having anyone pitch that to you, the first thing I think is pyramid scheme, commissions. So just to clarify, what just because I know what you meant, but just to clarify, when you say they do better, we do better, what do you mean?
You sell jobs, you need product, we have product, so you buy the product from us. So if you sell 1,000-foot job, please buy 1,000 feet from us, but you don't have to. So if you find, someone else local that you want to, we'd rather you didn't, we'd rather you buy from us. But we want to make sure that you are fully committed. And the other aspect is that we engage as well. So before we started, I told you the story about how I was at Disney World a couple of weeks ago with my family, and I was getting calls from installers on some of our permanent lighting projects, which we can transition y'all into later. That's a whole other topic. But on those, I was answering calls. My family sat down to meet Goofy and Donald, and I literally was standing by the men's room just taking this call, trying to help this client close this job. So, we want to make sure that you guys are successful, so that you hopefully trust us, because our hearts are in the right place, and then you buy from us.
Yeah. So let me just kind of go just a small step further than that. What he meant, obviously, by that is, if we train you well, if we spend the time, if we make ourselves available to you when you have questions, and then therefore you're successful, then we have the opportunity to sell lights. We have the opportunity to be successful too. So your job is to go out and wow your customer. Our job is the same. We're supposed to wow our customer. That's you. And so we do that. If you're successful wowing your customer, then we can be successful wowing you, and therefore so let's just get to the bread and butter of this one thing. We don't make any money whatsoever on the trainings. Now we do charge, but we charge $149 for the first person in your company. If you bring a second person, that's an extra $100. So it'd be $250 for you and your spouse, you and your right hand man, whatever you want. Now, for that $250, we're going to fly 3 people probably to Nashville, Tennessee from Dallas. We're going to rent a hotel room. We're going to provide lunch. We're going to provide training materials, notepads, pencils, all the things.
All the things.
We will more than likely lose money by the end of the training. More than likely, if the room were to get full enough, we might break even and we might make $20. I mean, like not a lot. Okay. That's not what it's about. And if you don't even want to spend $150, if you know you're going to jump in, buy a starter kit. For that starter kit, you're allowed to have 2 admissions. So a one person and a second person with a starter kit. And then we didn't make money on your training. We made money on the fact that you bought lights from us, which, it works out for us. And if you don't want a starter pack, you can buy a gift card, but I don't know why you would buy a gift card if you know you're in, because you might as well buy the starter pack. But if you wanted a gift card, that's fine too. So it's not a pyramid scheme. We're not trying to get rich off of these trainings. But if we don't do our job in the training and you leave feeling like you don't know what you're doing, then we failed you and you won't be successful. And in the same breath, we won't be successful because you won't be buying lights from us or Joe down the street, either one. So
no, thank you for clarifying. Like I said, I knew the answer. I just wanted to make sure it was clear for everyone. There's no,
Right.
I want to speak to the TWG audience and just anyone who's listening who might be just considering this. I personally did as much background research as I could on Matt, this company. I found nothing even remotely raised any eyebrows, nothing whatsoever. And so just to be clear, they make money because you can buy the lights from them. There's no commission. It's not like if you do 5 houses, they get 3% of those houses you did. There's 0. There's no connection. You buy the lights and you can put them on your own house for all they care. They are simply the light provider. I just want to really hammer that. There is no back end cost or we get a little here or there, nothing. In the trainings, I can speak just from experience. I think a lot of people listening will understand this. For a lot of things like this, call it even shows, plays, events. If you don't charge, if you just go, if you tell us if you're going to come out, people RSVP and then they won't show. And so now you've got Matt and his crew flying out there to people who flake out. And like I said, you can't have that. Not when they're going to fly and give their time to put on this training. And like I said, the training they're not making money off the training. It's just to say, hey, you can buy from us, but also we want you to be good at what you do. So ideally, you're successful, so then you want to buy more lights, which makes sense. But I really want to emphasize, when I first heard that you charge for the class, I was almost like, why not more? Like, because you're not going to make anything off this. Like, I get it, but I was like,
not.
Wow.
We discussed it the other day. We have strategically played around with it, and I will tell you that our main trainer, his name is Nick Glassett, prior to being on this side of the business, he taught lights for profit. Okay, and he did that because he wasn't going to make any money off of it. He was literally teaching people how to get into the business. Okay, and he ran 30 to 40 of them a year, and he charged $800 per person, and he filled the class. When we brought him on as our main trainer. We decided that's not the method that we're going to go. If we were to fill a class with 30 people at the $800 like he did, we would make money.
Yeah.
We would make money. That would be a profitable flight to Nashville. And if you never bought anything, well, we make money. But we've settled at the 149 because it may or may not cover our costs. It sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But that's not the goal. But you nailed it on the head. If we give it away for free, if we take all the risk, all the investment, we will have a full class roster and we will have an empty classroom.
3 people.
And that's why I think it's so interesting when I, like I said, my skeptical hat is off. And I ask these questions because a lot of, call it pyramid schemes or commission-based things, everything is free because they know they're going to make money off of you in less than popular or ethical ways. So they can offer free classes. Everything's free. Everything's free. Just show up. It's all free. This is a serious business. This is a professional company that's offering training to help people get into something that they really might enjoy and could provide income that they're looking for. And so I just really, and I'm sorry that I'm hammering it so hard, but like I'm glad there's a cost associated, because it's not like the free miracle things that just show up and it's too good to be true. There, you have to show that you're at least interested and willing to learn.
I got an answer for you. This is an interesting thing. This is how you know it's not a pyramid scheme. I will not be asking you for a list of your friends or contacts to go harass. In fact, I don't recommend you calling your friends or your neighbors, because I will tell you, my friends and my contacts, I'm going to want to go help them. I never charge them what I should. I always either just do it for free or do it at cost or whatnot. I want to teach you how to sell to people that you don't know. Okay. So in no way whatsoever will I be trying to make you make Thanksgiving awkward or Christmas awkward or anything like that, or calling your aunt and grandma and that sort of stuff. Don't do that. Don't do that. Go and find people that don't know you, convince them that you know what you're talking about, because you will, and then hang their lights. So it's far from that, like, well, you better have a list of 45 people and start calling them. No, don't do that. In fact, people always ask us, because we're in the inflatable business. I know I keep saying that, but they always come to me and they go, man, I've got 2,000 emails in my system. Man, I'm going to crush this. And I go, nope, different customers. Sorry. Couple of them will buy, but you can't just send that email out and it be done. It's not going to work.
Right.
And so it doesn't work that way.
No.
Some people do, like you were saying, a guy who had an inn at a casino and he got the casino his first year. Sure. Yeah. Sometimes like things like that happen. But if you are like, hey, I did cabinets for 40 people this year, some of them might be your customer, because if you did cabinets, maybe that house was built this year. That's actually, first year builds are really good clients.
Yes, they are.
But some of those customers won't, and some of them may not understand. What, I thought you did cabinets. Why are you doing Christmas? You know what I mean? Like there may not be a correlation there. So it really is a thing where we're going to teach you how to find brand new people that are doing it. The other thing is, this is not a high pressure sale. Okay. You're not going to sell somebody who doesn't want Christmas lights, professional, expensive Christmas lights. They are going to come to you because you've thrown a device out there advertising of some sort of sign,
A Facebook ad, yeah.
Facebook ads, whatever. You've thrown something out. They've identified, this is something I want. Let me see how much this person is going to charge for it. We're also going to teach you one thing that we didn't discuss, is we are going to teach you how to vet your leads.
Oh, pre-qualify
Pre-qualify your leads, okay? Because everybody who sees shining lights isn't willing to buy shining lights. So
Sure.
you know what I mean? And some people have the idea that it should cost what it would cost them to go buy them at Walmart. It does not. Okay. And so you do want to pre-qualify and not go, running after everybody who rings your phone and that sort of thing. So it's definitely not anything like, multi-level marketing. And again, we're not getting paid for anything other than if you buy from us.
And that's great. I mean, so we've covered, and we have a few minutes left here, but we've covered what the business is, who you guys are. You've been very transparent about what you get out of it. People buy the lights from you. That's how you make your money off this. And you offer these classes where, geez, I mean, what's kind of cool is I'm listening to describe what you teach at the class. I'm sitting here as a woodworker, and I've seen this in the TWG forums, people saying things like, how do I cost things out? How do I have those conversations? And you're talking about like how to pre-screen inquiries. Like these are skills that Christmas lights are not. I think you're offering things that are transferable across trades in general. So just to be clear, as we transition to kind of wrapping this up, I mean, you have some classes, and we're going to talk about the first one here. It's not a sales pitch; it's a training. Because here's the sales pitch: you can buy lights. There, it's done. The sales pitch is over. So the rest of it is just it's the education. And I think that's what people really need to understand is these are not your timeshare things where you show up and they're going to talk to you about beautiful beaches for 3 hours and say, hey, you should buy the condo. No, here's the sales pitch: buy lights. There.
Buy lights.
So the rest of it is arming you. And I can tell you, as someone who's just a self-taught woodworker, I've never had anyone sit me down and talk about the business side of how to woodwork, and that would have been extremely valuable. And so,
I didn't think about it until you just said that, but we feel like we have to for somebody to be successful, teach them the basics of business. I think a lot of woodworkers in your group, because I glanced through and they're like, everybody's like showing off their thing, which is amazing, and then people are giving them praise and stuff like that, which is awesome. Same sort of things. We have Christmas light groups. You post your pictures every night.
Right.
People say, "Oh, that looks amazing." Blah, blah,
Looks
blah.
clean.
Looks clean. Like we have our own little groups that do the same thing. But I think that there's a lot of the people that I probably saw in there that they don't really run a business. They're just making crafts and stuff and then posting it, showing it, and maybe somebody buys it. But if you sat through this, you might do the Christmas lights, but then again, maybe you just go learn how to sell your own woodworking stuff and set up an LLC and do the things that you need to do. And some of the same marketing or advertising could definitely move from Christmas lights into woodworking in some sort of way, because it's just basic business concepts. That's what that will be.
And I mean, what's cool is in your guys' introductions, I mean, you all come from a business background. I don't. And I know, like you said, Matt, I mean, a lot of the woodworkers were hobbyists. We do this, maybe we go to a craft fair here and there, we see if we can sell something. But I think the concepts, and like I said, you've all been a part of successful businesses. It's not like you've all gone bankrupt and now this is business number 7 in the list. Like, no, like you've all had success. And I don't know, I still just see so many connections. And that's why I was so excited about this conversation is I'm not here to say, yeah, stop woodworking, just do Christmas lights, man, your life will be set. No, what I'm saying is I've seen so many questions and people asking the genuine question of, I wish I was making more woodworking. How can I do it? Or is the way that I can transition to doing more woodworking versus other things I'm trying to do? This can be a side hustle. This can be a side job. This can be a main job that you focus on for the 8 weeks, the 2.5 months. I think it can take whatever shape you need it to be. And I think that's the value behind it. It's not like if you go in on this and you buy some lights, everyone has to do the same thing. You customize it for your needs, your schedule, and what your goals are. So that's huge. So as we wrap up here, tell me about this. And I should say, and I haven't discussed this with anyone, so I'll just throw this out now and you guys are here for the first time. TWG is going to do a special giveaway for Christmas, and it's going to involve light setups, especially for those who are part of this. So for anyone who does buy lights from Let's Get Lit Supply and does a house, does a decoration with it, we're doing a pretty large giveaway coming up just for those
Cool,
people.
man.
Because I think it would seem very disingenuous if I do a podcast like this is so great and then I just walk away from it. But there's two things. One, I'm going to do that, and second, we have a class coming up in September. Tell me a little bit about that.
September 16th, Nashville. It'll be, I don't have the date memorized yet. I'm sorry. I mean, the address memorized. It's let me pull this up here real quick. But yeah, so 9 to 5. You can order online. You can call us and order that way. Again, $149.99 for the first person, and then what is it, $99.99 for the second person. So yeah, companion. So anyone that's going to
I don't think we need to give the address. Give the different dates and the cities.
Okay.
oh, I got you. Okay, so sorry, I was
I
gonna
didn't there.
I promise you, we'll give you the address.
Yeah. No, we're just forget it. He said forget it. So yeah, September 16th is the one in Nashville. We're going to have one in San Diego on September 20th. Right now is when it's scheduled, and then we're going to have another class here in Midlothian, one in Houston. Those are probably, they haven't been officially set yet, but I'm looking at the 24th and 25th in of September, and then we'll have a virtual class as well, probably on the 29th.
And if you can't make any of those places, I do recommend the virtual. But if you can make them, I do not recommend the virtual. It is not as good of a training. You will not leave knowing as much. It's not because we won't teach it to you. We will, but there's something about being in the class. There's something about making conversations with the peers. There's also something about being able to ask the question and get an answer in real time. If you type it into the chat, we might see it eventually and get back to it, but it's not going to be as interactive. It's not going to be as hands-on. You can be successful. We had lots of people be successful from the online, but every person that has done both, or there's a whole lot more satisfaction in person. So please come. But if for some reason you just cannot, then go ahead and do the virtual. Now, if you come to the actual training and participate, we will record the virtual and we can send that to you so you can have that to refer to. But please, they are not equals. They are not.
I mean, yeah, equals. Woodworkers, I can tell you, my membership, my audience, my community gets that. The community I'm a part of. I mean, YouTube videos on how to build things is great when you're in your house trying to do it in the moment. There's no substitute for getting the professional next to you and you're building something together. I mean, in person trumps virtual in most scenarios 99% of the time. So I completely agree. And as we discussed earlier, I'm going to be at the first class. I'm going to be, I live in Virginia. I'm going to fly out to Nashville and I'm going to be there. So and just to be clear for the audience and those listening and the TWG members, there is zero financial incentive for me in any way for doing this. There's no kickback. So say you come up and you buy lights from them. There's no penny for me, nothing. There's no kickback for you signing up for classes, for going, nothing. The only reason that I'm endorsing this and I'm trying to support it the best way that I know how is because of the number of people, the number of TWG members I've seen ask the question, how can I make more money doing woodworking? And to be honest, the answer isn't always build more, sell more. That's not always feasible. That doesn't always work. This is something that can supplement. I'm not even saying it's an alternative because that wouldn't be the right word. You can keep woodworking, do more of it, and this may allow you to even do so. But I think this can supplement a lot of the things that we're trying to do, because I can speak from experience. I'm not selling enough stuff where I could suddenly just walk away from my job just from woodworking. It's not happening. So I think this is something that I really think could help a lot of people. So these guys, they're not making a ton of, if they make any off the class, I'd be shocked. They only make money if you buy lights. I make nothing at all in any way, shape, or form. I just want to help woodworkers and honestly, anyone, tradespeople, those who are out there who are just like, gosh, I'd love to have that supplemental income. I think this is something that could do it. And so I'm going to put my mouth where it belongs. I'm going to put my butt in one of those seats and I'm going to be there. Um, I don't know how much
And
more I
for
can
your
do
group,
besides that.
I just want to say, I want to shout out Adam because I will tell you that when we started the conversations, I did think that it would need to be a pay to play type of situation on my end, and I did propose a structure of payment, and he said no. He said I don't want that. I don't want to be paid for that. I want to teach this because I think my people need it, and so we also got into a long conversation about our just kind of the way we live life. And we are both givers and we want to give back. We want to leave a legacy. We had a long conversation about that. So while he refused any compensation for getting people to classes or for lights that you had, I did tell him that we want that I would like to do something in the form of if this works out, that we would do some donations. And so I think you said maybe we could donate to some woodworking schools
Yeah.
or woodworking programs. So also, so we're trying this thing out. But if it does succeed, if your people win and we win and everybody wins, I think me and you have a good time writing some checks to. Well, I guess I'll write them. You can give them.
There you go.
I will write some checks and you give them to some schools, and maybe we can teach some woodworkers some skills.
I love
So
it. Yeah, like I said, I'll turn it over to you guys to close, but just thank you. I mean, like I said, I know you said it quite plainly that you're taking on the risk, and it's not me, it's you guys as a company, and I mean, so I appreciate it. I try my best to represent in whatever capacity I get to the woodworkers in the community that I'm lucky to be a part of. I'm lucky that I get to be in a spot where I can have these conversations and try to share these opportunities. So thank you. And I really hope people will consider, and if it's not this, consider something else. Just don't settle. And I think that'd be my biggest takeaway before I turn it over is just don't settle. I mean, I know the woodworking trade, the cost of wood is going up. The economy is tough right now. I get it. So this is just an option, but there's lots of them out there. So just don't settle. There's always ways to keep moving forward. When I came across this, I had to get it in front of the TWG audience because I think it's doable. I think it's scalable. It's accessible. It's real. This isn't some made up fantasy thing. This is a tangible thing that I really believe can help people. So thank you for your time. I turn it over to you, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity.
thank you so much, Adam. Here comes the fun part. And
Well, if there's one thing I hope you take away from today's conversation, it's this: that Christmas lighting, it's not a magic fix, it's not easy money, and it's not a business for everyone, honestly, but it is a real business, a business that has helped a lot of people create additional income that we've seen with our own eyes. It helps them get through the slower seasons, and in some cases, just build the financial freedom to spend more time doing what they truly love. Now, if you're a woodworker or just someone who's trying to build a better future for yourself and your family, don't dismiss an opportunity just because it looks different than what you're used to. Ask questions, do your homework, look at the numbers, and decide if it's a fit for your goals. And if you'd like to learn more about the classes we discussed today, visit letsgetlitsupply.com. If you're interested in the upcoming Nashville training on September 16th, you'll have the opportunity to meet Adam, like he said, and connect with members of the woodworking group community as well. Huge thank you again, Adam. Thanks to Matt, thanks to Russ here, and to all of you for spending part of your day with us. Until next time, keep building, keep growing, go make it magical, and make it profitable. As always, stay lit, guys.
Stay lit.